Hello, Amanda Kendall, Enrolled Agent with True Resolve Tax Professionals here. Coming to you today to walk through a Form 9465, an Installment Agreement Request, to request to set up a payment plan with the IRS. I'm going to walk you through this. We're going to use a pretty basic example today, showing you how to fill this out, making sure it is properly completed so that there are no delays with the IRS in processing this. So we're going to start in part 1 here, and this request is for Form 1040, which is going to be individual income taxes, and we're going to fill it out for somebody who owes for tax year 2015. We're going to be completing this form for James Johnson. So you would enter your name and your social security number, and if you're married, you would enter a spouse name. Mr. Johnson's wife is Amy Johnson, and they are living at 123 State Street in Denver, Colorado. So we're going to enter all that information there. Now, Section 1B here, if this address is new since you filed your last tax return, you're going to check here. So we're going to mark that box assuming that James and Amy Johnson have moved since they filed their 2015 tax return a few months ago. They do not own a business, so we are not going to worry about filling out anything in Section 2 or 3, but I would like to point out here that it says you must no longer be operating in order to fill out this form for an installment agreement request. If you have a business that is still operating, this is not going to be the form for you to use. Mr. and Mrs. Johnson bank with Chase Bank. And you'll notice just about any form you fill out with the IRS is going to ask for the name of your bank and your employer. The employer that you're going to fill out on any of these forms is always going to be the primary taxpayer's employer. So in this case, James Johnson is going to be working for ABC Company. Now we're getting down into some numbers on this form. So line 7, we're going to enter the total amount you owe as shown on your tax returns or notices. So if you owe for several years and you've received notices, or you owe for several years and you've just filed your tax returns, you're going to total up those amounts due and put that here. Mr. and Mrs. Johnson owed $30,000 when they filed their 2015 tax return. However, they did make a payment of $4,000 with that, which is what line 8 asks you, the amount of any payment you are making with your tax return. Going to subtract line 8 from line 7, and we're going to come up with $26,000 is what the Johnsons still owe on their taxes. Line 10 is the amount you can pay each month. James and Amy Johnson have decided they can afford to pay $400 a month to the IRS. Now line 11 asks you to divide the amount on line 9 by 72. So we're going to take the $26,000, divide that by 72, and you get $361.11. That's what's going to go in on line 11. Now line 12, you're going to enter the date you want to make your payment each month. Now it very clearly states here, do not enter a date later than the 28th of each month. When setting up a payment plan with the IRS, you can pick a due date anywhere from the 1st to the 28th, keeping in mind that whatever date you choose is the date the IRS has to receive the payment by, not the date you have to place it in the mail. I typically use the 28th for most of my clients. We're going to go ahead and enter that for purposes of using this form. Section 13 is if you want to make your payments by direct debit from your checking account, then you're going to fill these in. Making a payment by direct debit is going to lower your fee to set up the payment plan with the IRS, but it is not a requirement in most cases. There are some cases it is required. I highly recommend this for my clients simply because it avoids the issue of forgetting to mail a check. So we're going to enter their routing and account number here. And then section 14 is if you want to make your payments by payroll deduction, you would check this box and complete a form 2159. That is a different form. We are not going to be covering that today. Now we're going to go down to page 2, and you'll see in the instructions for part 2 here, It's stating to only complete this part if you have defaulted on an agreement within the last 12 months, or the amount you owe is more than $25,000, less than $50,000. Or if you owe more than $50,000, you can complete this and attach a Form 433F. That goes back to where I stated if you owe more than $50,000, this may not be the best form for you to use. I'm going to go ahead and walk you through how to fill out this page, even though for James and Amy Johnson it would not be required, but I want you to see what it is you would be going through on here. So you're going to fill in James and Amy Johnson live in Adams County in Colorado. They are married and they share expenses. What this means is, do you and your spouse combine your income and pay the expenses together, or do you guys each have your own expenses and that's what you pay and you guys don't have any joint expenses that are paid together? Question 17, how many dependents are you able to claim? We're going to say that James and Amy Johnson have one child that they live with in their household and nobody in the household is over the age of 65. How often are you paid? This first question is referring to the primary taxpayer, so in this case that is going to be James. James is going to be paid once every 2 weeks. He has a net take-home pay per pay period of $2,800, and Amy Johnson is paid once a week, and her net take-home pay per pay period is going to be $1,000. James and Amy both own vehicles. However, only one of them has a car payment here. Question 25, do you have health insurance? We're going to say yes, James and Amy do have health insurance. So we're going to go to question 25B. Are your premiums deducted from your paycheck? We're going to say yes, they are deducted from James's paycheck. If you answered no, you would go here and fill in how much your monthly health insurance premiums were. 26 is, do you make court-ordered payments? For purposes of this form, we're going to answer no. However, if you did answer yes, you would go down to section B on question 26. Are these court-ordered payments deducted from your paycheck? If yes, you would move on to the next question. If no, you would input the amount here of how much those court-ordered payments are. 27, not including any court-ordered payments for child and dependent support, how much do you pay for child or dependent care each month? We're going to say that James and Amy pay $600 a month to send their one child to daycare. That is going to complete this form. At this point, you would want to review the information, once again making sure everything is complete and correct, and then you would sign and date it here and send this off to the IRS. As you're filling out this form, it is very important to make sure you have accurate numbers on here, as any inaccuracies could delay the IRS processing this form. If you have questions or wish for further assistance on filling out this form, please call True Resolve Tax Professionals. You can reach us at 720-319-8954 or toll free at 866-888-6090. Any of our licensed enrolled agents will gladly speak with you to help you complete this form and discuss what your next steps should be, if anything, after filling out this form. Thank you for your time today.